So we'll become famous.
Exactly. Well, I want to welcome everyone to this connection. I'm so grateful that we get to meet all of you in Buenos Aires at the medical school at the University of Buenos Aires. And I want to thank your professor for being willing to do this. My students have certainly been very excited. Let's just start with a few introductions. My name is Amy Caratini, and I teach at Montgomery College, and I teach anthropology. And my students have been, very enthusiastic about joining you today because we've been working on an ethnographic map looking at things like food and transportation and green spaces and basically what city life looks like for all who live there. And they're going to share with you in a little bit what that looks like in the Washington, D.C. metro area. I just realized that I need to pause to have the translator. So I want to introduce Judy Friedenberg right now, and then we'll get to your professor. But she has graciously agreed to do some translation today to make it a little easier for both of our classes to understand one another. So thank you, Judy. I also just want to let everyone know that this is my mentor, and she's my PhD advisor, and I feel very, very blessed to have her in my life. So if you want to, any of my students, you can ask her what kind of student I was. But I'm going to go ahead and do you want to introduce yourself, and if you need to say anything.
Should I translate what you just said?
Yes.
Okay, my translation is not going to be obviously word by word because we want to have a lot of discussion here, but it will be a summary translation. So Amy Caratini teaches anthropology at Montgomery College, and she's grateful for the opportunity to have this exchange with a class with a medical school in Argentina. Her students will present their work on an ethnographic map in Washington, D.C., which includes food and transportation, and they'll present it shortly. And then Amy introduced me, Judy Friedenberg. I was Amy's PhD advisor and have the honor to continue her. She hasn't fired me yet. I have the honor to be, I should have been saying this in Spanish. What am I doing?
Yeah.
Disculpen, me reconfundí. Básicamente, Amy Caratini se presentó como profesora de antropología en Montgomery College. Perdón. Y dijo que estaba muy contenta de poder hacer este intercambio con los estudiantes de medicina en Buenos Aires, Argentina. Dijo que sus estudiantes van a presentar un mapa etnográfico de Washington, no el estado, sino la ciudad, el distrito de Washington, D.C. El mapa etnográfico va a cubrir temas como alimentos y transportación. También me presentó a mí, mi nombre es Judy Friedenberg, yo fui profesora de antropología, ahora retirada de la Universidad de Maryland, donde ella era una estudiante de doctorado y tuve el gusto de ser su consejera para el trabajo de doctorado. Continuamos esta relación y espero que no me eche, pero seguiré siendo su consejera en lo que necesite. Buenos días a todos.
Thank you so much. And I want to ask.
Gracias.
I want to ask Professor Diego Diaz if you would go ahead and introduce yourself and just give us a little bit of background about what you do and your students.
Okay, well, as you say, my name is Diego Diaz. I'm an anthropologist too, and I'm teaching in this with my students a course about computational nutritional, or, well, the name is informatics, but it's more about some informatic tools for nutrition. And well, they are in the last year. They are almost to graduate after their thesis. So, well, we are here to share with you our experience here in Buenos Aires, and willing to listen your ethnographic map and your work with your students.
¿Y ahora lo vas a decir en castellano o lo digo yo?
Lo digo, que bueno,
Vale.
Mi nombre es Diego Díaz y estoy dando clases de nutrición computacional o informática, como se llama la materia, para alumnos del último año de nutrición. Y bueno, estamos ansiosos por escuchar el trabajo que hicieron los alumnos de Amy y compartir esta experiencia con ellos.
Thank you. So as you can see, we've got a lot of people on here, and it's going to be an interesting discussion, and I'm very excited about it. So I'm not going to take any more time, as I want to give the students a chance to present. Jacob, Alicia, and Madeline, I've made you co-hosts, so you can go ahead and share the screen. These are 3 students in my class who are going to present the ethnographic map.
Amy
Bueno,
dice que no tomaremos...
¿traduzco o traducís vos, Judy?
Sí. Amy dijo que no quiere tomar más tiempo porque quiere dar lugar a la discusión entre todos, que todo esto es muy interesante y que 4 de sus estudiantes van ahora a presentar el trabajo sobre el mapa etnográfico.
I'm just trying to figure out how to share screen.
It should be the green button at the bottom.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
¿Dónde estamos? Where are we? El título es Cultura y Sostenibilidad en el área metropolitana de Washington, distrito, vendría a ser Distrito Federal.
Madeline, if you go to view, I think what you're trying to do is start this. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, your the little box that shows you was covering the present button. So we, as a class, we looked at different areas that we live in and saw different things that related to like the general culture of our area, and we're just going to be presenting that.
En nuestra clase trabajamos sobre las distintas áreas geográficas en las que vivimos y vamos a presentar sobre eso.
So as a class, we interviewed individuals from our community to understand different perspectives on the different cultures we had in the area. And we wanted to see how sustainability and culture were intertwined. So we basically had a map. Do you want me to open the map real quick, Professor, to show everybody?
Como una clase, entrevistamos individuos en nuestra comunidad para poder identificar sus perspectivas sobre temas de cultura y sustentabilidad.
So as a class, we found, well, everybody put in their own submissions, and we kind of categorized them in 4 categories, like environmental, if what they found in the community was more related to social aspects, to cultural.
Todos los estudiantes presentaron sus perspectivas y entonces las categorizamos si eran relacionadas con el medio ambiente o con otros temas.
and we found that the most common submissions we had were environmental and social issues.
Y encontramos que la mayor cantidad de los temas tenían que ver con el medio ambiente y temas sociales.
So we basically created a histogram showing how many submissions were related to each category.
Creamos una tabla por Instagram para ver la cantidad de temas que se presentaban para cada uno de estos tópicos.
You go ahead, Maddie.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay. So environmental sustainability. Maddie, can you go back to the last slide really quick?
Yeah.
If you look at this graph here, the yellow on the pie chart or the circular graph.
Miran al gráfico estadístico, sobre todo a la parte amarilla.
The yellow is the environmental problems, and so that appears to be the greatest concern that we found.
Lo amarillo es los problemas de medio ambiente y obviamente eran la mayoría de los temas.
And the histogram on the right shows the same thing, that environmental issues were the largest portion that we looked at.
Eso también está representado en la tabla hacia la derecha.
Maddie, you can go ahead and to the next slide. So what we found were in the DC metro area, there's plentiful access to nutrient-dense foods. We have ample public transportation. We have an abundance of parks and gardens and outdoor areas for recreational and nature play. And there's also a lot of
básicamente vimos que los temas relacionados con el medio ambiente eran los que más preocupaban a nuestra clase. Esta área tiene un acceso abundante a alimentos que contienen alta proporción de nutrientes, tiene un buen sistema de transporte público, tiene muchos parques y jardines y también iniciativas verdes.
Maddie, can you pull the map up really quickly?
The whole map?
Yeah, or I can screen share if you would rather that.
Oh, no, it's okay. Is that good?
Yes. Can you click on, well, we'll do Wegmans trash receptacle.
Okay.
Nos estamos yendo a un lugar de recolector de basura.
So this is just an example of a green initiative taken on by a grocery store company, Wegmans.
I'm sorry if I interrupt, but
It's okay.
I need to remember what you said.
It's okay.
Este es un ejemplo de una iniciativa, digamos, sustentable, iniciada por un comercio llamado Wegman.
So this is just to get people to recycle plastic bags when they're shopping. And so this is
trata de convencer a los clientes del negocio a reciclar todos los plásticos.
Okay, Maddie, you can go to Silver Spring Station.
Ahora nos vamos a una estación de subte llamada Silver Spring.
This is an example of the public transportation in the community. This is a metro. We also have a huge bus system that takes people everywhere.
Vamos a ir al ejemplo de no solamente una estación de subte, o sea, transporte público, pero también, aparte de los subtes, tiene una estación de ómnibus.
And then Maddie, you can click on Brookside Gardens.
Y ahora vamos a unos jardines públicos que llaman Brookside.
And this is a beautiful 536-acre park. And this is just one of many that we have in the DC area.
Este es uno de los jardines públicos, uno de los muchos que hay en la zona. Tiene más de 500 hectáreas.
And okay, Maddie, you can go ahead and continue on with the slideshow.
Please,
Okay.
can I stop you for a minute? Can you just show them the interview? I mean, you don't have to show the interview, but show how
Oh,
they
sure.
Amy les pide que muestren la entrevista.
So what?
just show them that how it's attached. If you could just click on the
Oh,
arrow.
scroll up and find the interview
For Brookside or for, there's not one for Brookside.
for Brookside. Yeah. Scroll over.
Yeah, go
to
scroll
the
up
images.
and then click on the
And then-
arrow.
Oh,
Hi everyone. Today I have my good old friend with me from high school. His name is Barack Asila. He currently attends Montgomery College and he's also a track athlete. So Baraka, tell us about this park, Wheat Regional Park. You spend most of your time training at Wheat Regional Park. The questions I have for you is, how is Wheat Regional Park useful to the community?
Well, Wheat Regional is a great place for people to have fun. It's a great place for people to enjoy their time. There's a great view where people can sit and relax and just look over.
Stop it. I just wanted to show, that we had those. Yeah.
oh, okay.
Okay. Se oía, no se oía muy bien, pero era para mostrar cómo hacen la entrevista y en este caso un amigo que estaba en ese parque.
So I can take over for now.
Que lo usaba para entrenar y que decía que era un buen par.
So sustainability and social cohesion were the sort of like the main aspects of sustainability in our community that I found in my personal research through the ethnographic map project.
Jack está contando de que la sustentabilidad, no lo puedo pronunciar, y la cohesión social era el tema más importante que encontró en sus entrevistas. Diego, ¿cómo lo pronuncio mal? ¿Cómo es?
Sabes que ahora dudé de cómo se dice sustentabilidad. Sustentabilidad. Sustentabilidad.
Sí.
Sostenibilidad, creo que es en castellano.
No, sostenibilidad, tenés razón. Sostenibilidad es en español.
Ahí es cuando, claro, gracias.
I can't speak in English or in Spanish.
So social cohesion is what I found and what we found as a class really makes sustainability possible in communities.
Lo que encontramos en la clase es que la cohesión social es lo que realmente ayuda o causa la sostenibilidad.
Social cohesion is important to the overall sustainability of a population because it is what makes up the interactions between community. It's what makes the interactions between members of a community so intricate and powerful.
Y eso pasa porque por cohesión social hablamos de las relaciones mutuas, recíprocas entre la gente.
Maddie, can you go to the next slide, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. So one of the things that we found about DC that was really cool and unlike most American cities is that there's a lot of green space.
Una de las cosas que encontramos en Washington, D.C. es que hay muchos espacios verdes.
This gives,
a diferencia de otras ciudades en Estados Unidos.
This gives us a very unique a range of biodiversity, and something that I really like to do is look for mushrooms in the area.
Una de las cosas que me gusta hacer personalmente es buscar hongos en el área.
I personally grow them for subsistence means as a way of providing myself with natural medicine and food.
Y también es algo que yo personalmente planto para no solamente como alimento, sino también como una medicina.
Can you go to the next slide, please? So this is how I practice horticulture in DC, and how I think it can.
Que practico la horticultura en Washington D.C. como un modo de subsistencia.
This is just an example of the cloning process that I do with my mushrooms, where I take a tissue sample of the mushroom and I grow it on these petri dishes.
La manera en que yo trabajo con los hongos es que los tomo con un papel tipo el papel con el que nos sonamos la nariz y los pongo en una petri dish, ¿cómo se dice, Diego?
Una celda de Petri, un plato
Cápsula de Petri.
Placa de Petri. ¿no?
Next slide, please. With these green spaces in DC, we've got a lot of community gardens as well.
En Washington, D.C. también dentro de los espacios verdes contamos con estos jardines comunitarios.
This gives residents a means of providing fresh produce for themselves and the ability to know where their food is coming from.
Y esto hace que los residentes de Washington, D.C. puedan plantar lo que quieran para su subsistencia y saber de dónde vienen los alimentos.
These two plots are actually right across from each other. And the top one is my friend's. And we can see here the use of raised beds in two different ways.
Vemos, por ejemplo, en la foto de más arriba, uno de esos jardines que están uno enfrente del otro, y vemos estas superficies elevadas usadas para la cultivación.
And that's a technique that helps retain nutrients in the soil so that runoff doesn't wash those nutrients away.
Es una técnica utilizada para combatir
mantener,
la erosión.
Claro, mantener los nutrientes y combatir la erosión.
Mantener los nutrientes y combatiendo la erosión que puede traer la lluvia, supongo.
Can you go to the next slide, please?
Did you have any more?
I think I do towards the end.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about culture on our ethnographic map.
Madeleine ahora nos va a hablar sobre la cultura, el tema de la cultura en el mapa etnográfico.
So when I categorized the submissions to our map, I defined culture as the set of beliefs, practices, and symbols that we learned and bind people together to shape their worldview. And that's how I determined what I thought was cultural.
Entonces lo que hice fue categorizar las respuestas para ver cuáles eran culturales, entendiendo por cultura un conjunto de conocimientos, creencias, prácticas y símbolos que son aprendidos y compartidos.
So I have 3 examples of culture in the area. The first is the Strathmore Mansion, which is located in North Bethesda, Maryland.
Tengo 3 ejemplos de cultura. El primero es la mansión Strathmore, que está en un área en el norte de Washington, D.C.
It's a theater that hosts theater, musical, and educational presentations and creates a welcoming environment for all artists.
Es un teatro que ofrece espectáculos musicales y educativos y que crea un ambiente que convoca a muchos artistas.
I considered this cultural because it allows for people to come together and form around one common cause, and it contributes to the large shared value towards the arts in Maryland.
Y consideré que este espacio era cultural porque convoca a mucha gente para que se reúna alrededor de una causa común y es donde se comparten el valor de las artes en Maryland, que es un área dentro de Washington, D.C.
The next example I have is from Lafayette Square in Washington, D.C.
El próximo ejemplo de cultura es la Plaza Lafayette.
It's an area that's filled with art, statues, and local displays, and it allows for anybody who would like to contribute to the space.
Es un área que invita a cualquiera que quiera contribuir al espacio con arte, estatuas y carteles, por ejemplo, que es lo que se ve en la foto, que convoca a la gente que quiere contribuir a este tipo de espacio.
So I consider this cultural because the shared values of the space kind of allow everybody to speak their mind, and nobody really tries to take over anybody else's.
Lo considero cultural porque ayuda a que la gente comparta su visión y nadie domina la opinión de ningún otro.
And it brings people of DC together to express the feelings, political beliefs, and more of them in the area.
Y convoca a la gente para expresar sus sentimientos, sus creencias políticas, otras cosas.
And my last example is local window art in the Gaithersburg, Maryland area.
Y el último ejemplo de cultura es lo que se ve en las ventanas, el arte que se ve en las ventanas en otra área de Washington, D.C. llamada Gaithersburg.
So local art is a very large component in this area, and it helps on a more welcome and relaxed feel while also supporting local artists.
Y allí hay muchos artistas locales que ayudan también a que se convoque a la gente en un ambiente relajado y invitante.
And I consider this cultural because local art brings a community together in shared spaces, and it creates shared values regarding how to respect and appreciate local artists.
Y lo considero un espacio cultural porque se comparten valores sobre cómo respetar y apreciar a los artistas locales.
Okay, I guess I'm taking over again. I
Jack.
forgot to mention something back in the social cohesion slide. You don't really have to go back there, Maddie, but it ties in kind of with social cohesion and the research that I did and the interviews that I did for this
Me
project.
olvidé de comentar algo con respecto a cohesión social cuando hice mi presentación.
So one of my passions is foraging, and the reason that I do this is because I want to find medicinal and edible fungi, like the two that
Una
are
de
pictured
mis
here.
pasiones es, supongo, vagar por
Recolectar.
los bosques, recoger,
Sí,
recolectar
recolectar.
cosas en el medio ambiente, sobre todo hongos, por sus posibles
Sí, posibles usos medicinales y
usos
nutricionales.
And so with this, the passion that I have for these medicinal fungi, I wanted to research some of the work that an organization called Decriminalize Nature DC is doing in the city right now with the coming elections.
Y esto tiene que ver con un proyecto que se llama tratando de no criminalizar a la naturaleza, que es algo que está pasando ahora que estamos llegando a las elecciones presidenciales.
So what they're trying to do is make to lessen the priority for police in DC.
Lo que están tratando de hacer es reducir la cantidad de policías que hay en el área.
Lessening that priority to persecute people who are treating themselves with medicinal entheogenic fungi and plants.
Sobre todo tratar de reducir el impacto de la policía que considera criminal abastecerse de productos naturales para la curación.
So some of the organisms they're trying to make more safe to use for residents in DC include the plants involved in making the ayahuasca brew, as well as psilocybin containing fungi, and also a few other plants such as iboga.
Y está mencionando varias plantas, a lo mejor Diego querés decir los nombres, pero varias plantas, varios tipos de hongos que tienen capacidades medicinales.
And with the coming election, these issues have a lot of momentum, and they have a lot of potential to do good in our community, to help people heal and explore their natural environment.
Y esto tiene importancia en momento de elecciones para que la gente pueda explorar su medio ambiente, y supongo, bueno, tendría que aclarar a los argentinos que en este momento hay un movimiento social muy importante en Estados Unidos que donde se considera que las poblaciones afro son mucho más maltratadas y acosadas por la policía que otras, y hay un movimiento en contra de la brutalidad de la policía. Entonces, bueno, eso es el contexto en el que está hablando.
And you can go to the next slide, Maddie. Thank you. So this is just a selfie that I took with the mushroom from the last photo. I was very proud of that harvest.
Esto es una foto que me tomé con uno de estos hongos uno de estos hongos, digamos, que crecen en la naturaleza y que tienen que ver con el uso de la naturaleza con fines medicinales.
So the two mushrooms, the ones that I'm holding on the left and the ones on the right, are both the same species, and they were found.
De la misma especie. Jack.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. I interrupt all the time.
All right. The two species are the same, although they were found only 300 feet away from each other. They have very different phenotypes in their outward appearance is very different. One is lighter in color and one is much darker and much larger.
Son los dos hongos que se ven en las fotos, son especies diferentes, a pesar de que fueron encontradas a 300
Yes.
pies una de la otra, y que tienen diferente coloración.
And you can go to the last slide. Thank you. So this is just a thank you. We wanted to thank all of you guys for taking the time to listen to our presentation today.
Les
We also
quiero
want
agradecer por escuchar nuestra presentación en el día de hoy.
we also wanted to thank Professor Amy Caratini for her hard work this semester in keeping us engaged and educated during this pandemic.
También queremos agradecer a nuestra profesora, la doctora Caratini, por todo el trabajo que se tomó para mantenernos atentos y educados durante esta pandemia.
I wanted to give a special thanks to the people at Decriminalize Nature DC and Riley Sloan specifically, who interviewed for me for their tireless work during this pandemic to help make our community safer.
También agradecer a todos los que entrevistamos, sobre todo la organización que se llama Organización para
Descriminalizar
la naturaleza, por todo el trabajo que hicieron.
And lastly, we wanted to extend a thank you to all of our classmates who helped make this ethnographic map possible and put in so much hard work. So
Y
thank you.
también queremos agradecer a todos los participantes en crear este mapa etnográfico.
Thank you, everyone, for presenting. I appreciate it. Put it in this context, you start to see the bigger picture of what we found. So good work.
Gracias a todos por presentar y presentar un contexto que nos hace apreciar el buen trabajo que hicieron.
I'd like to turn it over now to your professor, Diego Diaz, who wants to share a presentation. And then the idea we'd have a question answer.
Ahora le paso el micrófono a su profesor, Dr. Diego Díaz. Y después vamos a discutir.
And
Okay.
I just made you a co-host so you can share your screen. But if
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, just let me, my computer, I have some technical issues this morning with my computer, so I stole my wife's computer, so it's not my computer this.
That's okay.
So it's
Le
a
robé
little
la
bit slow,
computadora.
so be patient,
Te traduzco, ¿no, Diego?
please.
Do you want me to pull the PowerPoint up? I have it.
Yes.
Okay. There we go.
It's very slowly here, the connection, and I think that I lose you.
La conexión acá está muy lenta. Acá nos muestra la universidad.
Just tell me when you want me to go forward.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is the building of the School of Medicine, where
Este es el edificio de la Escuela de Medicina.
This is a kind of rationalist building that is very nice if you like the rationalist in architecture.
Es una construcción de estilo racional, un estilo arquitectónico.
Racionalista.
Racionalista.
Yeah. Our university, where I study and I teach, and where Judith study too, and our students are doing their grade, was founded in the 19th century.
La universidad donde yo estudié y Judy, yo también estudié, la Universidad de Buenos Aires fue fundada a mediados del siglo XIX, en 1821.
It is the biggest university in Argentina in terms of the amount of students.
Es la universidad más grande en Argentina y como otras universidades es gratis.
The university, as other national universities, is free. Even in some postgraduate course, my PhD was free. In fact, because I was graduated from the Faculty of Philosophy and Literature. I don't know how can I translate philosophy y letras.
Como otras universidades nacionales en la Argentina, es gratis, la educación es gratis, aún para cursos de posgrado. Por ejemplo, Diego no tuvo que pagar por su educación para tener un doctorado y se graduó de la Facultad de Filosofía y Letras.
And all the Argentinian Nobel Prize.
Maestría en la facultad, licenciatura en la Facultad de Filosofía y Letras, gratis.
Yeah, she said that she was studying their grade in anthropology for free in this university, and all the Nobel Prize that the country has all belong from University of Buenos Aires.
Y todos los premios Nobel que tienen en la Argentina, todos han estudiado en la Universidad de Buenos Aires.
The university, despite their issues and problems because of the budget shortage and the less money, even that it is ranked in 66 ranking in the I don't remember the name, but it's something like the University Global Ranking. So it is
a pesar de todos los problemas presupuestarios que tiene, la Universidad de Buenos Aires está considerada como la número 66 en los rankings del mundo, de universidades del mundo.
Well, this is a map where you can see the whole country and the city of Buenos Aires that is highlighted here. And,
aquí ven el mapa del país de Argentina con la ciudad de Buenos Aires resaltada.
And the neighborhood where the School of Medicine is called Recoleta.
Y el barrio donde está la Facultad de Medicina se llama Recoleta.
Well, in the School of Medicine, this is the degrees, the course degrees that they offer is medicine, nutrition. Our students are from nutrition, nursing, phonoaudiology, obstetrics, kinesiology, and bioimaging. That is a very new course.
Hay diferentes títulos que se pueden obtener en la universidad, en la Facultad de Medicina, nutrición, enfermería, fonoaudiología, obstetricia, kinesiología y bioimaginería.
Oh, there we go.
Well, in order to answer some of the questions that Amy sent to me and we discussed with our students,
I'm sorry.
we found that
I think I skipped ahead a few slides. I didn't mean to. I don't know why it wouldn't turn. Sorry.
Oh, okay. It's okay. It's okay. Well, this is a photograph of the clinical hospital. That is a school hospital that belongs to the School of Medicines. And,
una foto del hospital de clínicas o clinical hospital o teaching hospital, que es parte de la Facultad de Medicina.
And with this nice, how can you
acá tenemos
Are you saying that?
Acá tenemos una foto de un bar saludable, o sea, manejado por voluntarios.
In the previous slide, well, that's okay.
This one?
Yes, this is a volunteer program for from
Next, Amy.
Okay.
This one.
From the School of Medicine, where the nutrition cook. Oh, it's okay. Cook some health.
Este es un programa de voluntarios donde
food and in this
cocinan comida saludable.
With low income. Yes, for people with low income.
Para gente de escasos recursos.
Well, in order to answer some of the questions that Amy sent to me about some issues, I put some slides to illustrate some of these points.
Para contestar alguna de las preguntas
issues.
Perdón, Diego. Para contestar alguna de las preguntas que me mandó Amy, preparé algunas diapositivas que vamos a ver a continuación.
Well, you can see here the evolution of the labor market force, where you can see that it's very fluctuating. There are some peaks with a lot of unemployment rate.
Acá vemos una evolución del mercado laboral con algunos picos relacionados con momentos históricos determinados.
Yeah, economics in Argentina are a mess. I don't know how I say in academic terms.
Es un desastre.
Yeah, so you can see in the evolution rate that I show you here, you can see how the unemployment rate grows huge in the well, in the first place, in the 1989, we have an episode of hyperinflation.
Lo que muestra este cuadro es la evolución de la tasa de desocupación en la Argentina entre 1983 y 2018, especialmente alta, casi 20% en el 2001-2002.
Yeah, in the 2001 and 2002, we have another crisis, economic crisis, that was the end of economical plan that was called convertibility, that was the $1, 1 peso, and that
En el
exploded.
2001, un dólar era un peso, y agrego, para los que no saben, ahora por el gobierno oficial, un dólar, ya sabemos, es 82, 83 pesos.
The official. Yeah.
Sí, el paralelo 167, creo.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, next slide is okay.
Next slide.
Yeah, I know. It won't go forward. I don't know if it's just the internet there. I think here.
Oh, well, this is a slide with some figures about the food and social class. That was a question that Amy sent
Acá
to me.
vamos a ver algunas diapositivas sobre comida, alimento y clase social, que fue una de las preguntas.
And we can see how the overweight and obesity start to grow very quickly after the 80s. So in 20 years, we have this huge growth of obesity. Well, it's interesting, this slide, because it is comparing Argentina with other countries in South America.
Esta diapositiva es muy interesante porque permite comparar la Argentina con otros países de Latinoamérica, y vemos que en el transcurso de 34 años se ha más que duplicado, sí, que se ha duplicado la tasa de obesidad, ¿no?
Yeah. So this is an issue that is not only particular to Argentina, but I think that it is a global issue.
No es un tema, la obesidad no es un tema que afecta solamente a la Argentina, sino que es un tema global.
And in fact, you can see in the slide that the women are with more overweight and obesity than men. So
también
that
podemos ver en esta diapositiva que las mujeres tienen más obesidad que los hombres.
So this is another burden for the women, that they are more vulnerable.
Para las mujeres.
Because they are vulnerable in terms of violence, in terms of poorness, of low income, and in terms of labor force, and in terms
entonces,
of
las mujeres
health.
son más vulnerables, no solamente por temas económicos, sino por acoso sexual, pero también por obesidad, o sea, suma a los riesgos que tienen las mujeres vulnerables.
Yeah. Next. And this is a slide with the other issue that Amy asked to me about the green spaces in Buenos Aires City. And there is
diapositiva también muestra, contesta una de las preguntas que me hizo Amy, que tenía que ver con los espacios verdes en el área.
And this is a great concern here in Buenos Aires, because there are very few green spaces.
Ese es un tema en la ciudad de Buenos Aires porque no hay muchos espacios verdes.
Yeah, and these are the green areas in the map are the green space with gardens and parks, but they are very few, and in fact, the government of the city is now eroding these green spaces, selling the space for
no solamente real estate. Hay pocos espacios verdes, sino que el gobierno está acaparando y vendiendo algunos de los espacios verdes existentes.
Yes, for real estate. for real estate.
Para la
buildings.
industria inmobiliaria.
Yeah. So it's very it's a big concern for
Es un tema
the
muy
citizens.
preocupante.
Yeah, in fact, we have a very great, here you can't see, but in the top part of the map, there is a big river here in Buenos Aires that is called Río de la Plata.
Vemos al noroeste en el mapa que en la diapositiva, bueno, ahí al norte de la ciudad tenemos un río que se llama Río de la Plata.
But the city is, we always say that the city is giving their back to the river. They never see the river.
Decimos que vivimos a espaldas del río.
Yeah, so this is a great issue.
Este es un tema muy preocupante.
Thank you, Diego. That was a really interesting comparative look. I appreciate you putting that together, and I'm sure the students.
Muchas gracias por esta presentación y sobre todo por hacer la comparativa.
I'm sure the students appreciated it too.
También creo que los estudiantes lo apreciaron.
So now we were hoping to have some questions and answers between our classes. My class put together some questions.
Ahora abrimos a la discusión, la conversación entre las dos clases. Mi clase preparó unas preguntas.
So, Diego, how do you think we should proceed? Do you want me to pull up the questions, or did your class also have questions?
Well, I think that you can ask some question. We translate for our student and they answer. And if they have some question, they can ask you for that.
That sounds good. I was hoping to share them, but I guess I lost them on my screen. But I have them printed out here, so I'll ask. So should we start with? So I have these broken down. Maybe let's start with an overall question, and this is a question that Madeline asked. She said, "What do you like about living in Argentina? And if you could change anything, what would it be?"
La primera pregunta que prepararon los estudiantes es ¿qué te gusta de vivir en Argentina? Y si pudieras cambiar algo, ¿qué sería lo que cambiarías?
I know it's a big question.
¿Alguno quiere responder?
Yeah, anyone can answer, anyone.
Cualquiera puede responder.
¿Yo puedo contestar en español?
Sí.
Bueno. Y por ejemplo, a mí me gusta la facultad, el acceso así público, que igualmente todos sabemos acá en Argentina que es público, pero no todos pueden acceder. Y también el sistema de salud, que aunque es muy heterogéneo, también presta servicios a inmigrantes, o a argentinos que no tienen prepaga, obra social, que creo que es diferente allá en Estados Unidos, tengo entendido. Esas son las dos principales cosas que me gustan. Y que no me gustan, bueno...
¿Qué cambiarías?
Tan fluctuante.
¿El qué?
La economía.
Economía.
Fluctuante. Quizás la desvalorización, si bien se le da prioridad al sistema de salud, también están desvalorizados los puestos, y bueno, sobre todo en este contexto de pandemia, debería ser más visualizado en esas cuestiones la importancia del personal de salud. Quizás como acá, no sé si ya es igual, acá se le da más prioridad a, no sé, la economía en el sentido de los cargos, o a los jueces, al Poder Judicial, y no tanto a los trabajadores de salud.
¿Ya puedo traducir? ¿Sí?
Sí.
So, Sofía Sophia answered the question this way. She said that what she liked in Argentina was the fact that there was free access, that the university was public, and that there was free access. Even if not everybody went to university, it was affordable because mostly it's free. She also liked the health system because it's different from other countries, and she thinks the US included. You can be treated here by the health system, even if you're an immigrant or you don't have money to pay for insurance. What she does not like is the fact that the economy is constantly fluctuating. And she also doesn't like that she thinks the health system is devalued, particularly in this pandemic times, that the health system should be valued more. And instead, here in Argentina, seems that what has more priority is the economy or the judicial system.
That's
Buena, Sophia.
Thank you, Sophia. I appreciate that comparison, that comparative look. Would someone from my class like to answer what you like about living in the US, and if you could change something, what would it be?
What I like living in the US is kind of how it's like a big melting pot. There's like multiple cultures all the time that you meet, especially in Maryland. And we have the freedom of speech, which is pretty nice. What I don't like is the healthcare system is not what it should be. It doesn't give everybody access to doctors and medicine, and some things are like diabetic medication is so expensive that some people can't even afford it. And it's also just kind of difficult living here sometimes with like so many different people fighting all the time with politics.
Thank you. Gracias, Madeleine. Madeleine de Montgomery College dijo que lo que le gusta de vivir en Estados Unidos es que es un crisol de razas, especialmente en Maryland. Lo que no le gusta es el sistema de salud, porque no provee de acceso a todo el mundo y los medicamentos son extraordinariamente caros, y tampoco le gusta que constantemente hay enfrentamientos políticos.
Y dijo también que le gusta el free speech, la libertad de expresión.
Sí, la libertad de opinión.
Can I add something?
Libertad de palabra.
Sure, Alicia.
I just wanted to say that I think it's really cool that you guys have free access to school, because school is very expensive here.
Alicia agrega que realmente es genial de que en Argentina tengan acceso gratis a la educación, que en Estados Unidos la educación es muy cara.
Alicia, I know you had some questions, and I think some other people in the class did too, about the education in Argentina and the free access. Do you want to clarify or ask those questions now?
Well, I think they answered it in the slideshow, that it included some postgraduate courses. So I think I heard him say that like his PhD was free. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, not in every university, not even in every faculty, and not for everyone. The free PhD is for the graduate of the same school. Right. If you graduate in the, and it's different from the different faculties. I mean, in my faculty, where I study anthropology.
Perdón, Diego, si no me voy a olvidar. El acceso es gratis en la Universidad Nacional, Universidad de Buenos Aires, pero hay muchas universidades privadas, donde no es el caso. Pero la pregunta de Alicia era si cubría a todos los posgrados, y el doctor Díaz dijo que si dependía de cada una de las facultades, pero en general si uno era graduado de la Universidad de Buenos Aires, sí lo cubría, ¿no?
Yes. Yes, in some faculties that if you are graduated from these faculties, the PhD or the Magister is free, but not in every faculty, even inside the University of Buenos Aires. There's
No,
difference.
En medicina las maestrías son pagas en medicina. Los cursos de posgrado son pagos aún para graduados de medicina.
Yeah, in the School of Medicine, they must to pay for the postgraduate course.
It differs school from school to school, but meaning from college to college within a university. For example, in medicine, for postgraduate education, for example, for a master's degree, you have to pay. But may I add that even if you pay, it's not an exorbitant amount.
Yeah.
¿No? Lo que estoy agregando es que aun cuando se paga, no es algo completamente inaccesible, ¿verdad?
I know we're I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
No, I was just going to say, I know that we're coming to a close of our time together. I think we have time for 2 or 3 more questions. And so I just wanted to ask the group, how do you want, I have a bunch of questions on food I could ask, since I know you're all nutritionists. Or if you have a specific question you want to ask, we're more than, willing to answer.
La profesora Caratini está preguntando cómo podemos usar mejor el tiempo que nos queda. Sabe que son todos nutricionistas, si quieren ustedes preguntar o cómo quieren proceder. Está abierto.
Yo había formulado una pregunta sobre nutrición. Quería saber qué piensan sobre las políticas públicas referidas a la nutrición en su estado.
Sophia is asking, what do you think about the public policies regarding nutrition in the state you live in?
Would anyone like to answer that in our class?
I don't know much about the local policies for our state. I do think that the US needs better policies in regards to what is allowed to be put in our food.
Alicia dice que no sabe exactamente cuáles son las políticas de nutrición en su estado, pero que sabe que necesitamos mejores políticas o políticas que nos ayuden a saber qué nos metemos en la boca, qué comemos.
Can I add to that?
With what Alicia said, and I would say that, that one of the benefits of horticulture as a personal practice in an urban environment is that you'll know where your food is coming from, and you'll know that there aren't any processed chemicals inside of it that could be carcinogenic or something like that.
Y lo que está agregando Jack es que por eso piensa que tiene tanto valor la horticultura, porque como uno mismo planta las plantas, entonces sabe que no tienen químicos y que es comida orgánica.
I'd like to
Acá nosotros conocemos eso como soberanía alimentaria. Tenemos una cátedra en la facultad que se relaciona con que la persona pueda tener acceso a alimentos que produce dentro del núcleo familiar, evitando el uso de transgénicos y también de todos los agregados y aditivos que adiciona la industria, de los cuales muchos desconocemos y después ingerimos.
Sophia is adding that they have actually a course in her school about what could be translated as nutritional sovereignty, meaning that the right to plant in your family, in the household, your own food, so that you're sure that you're not ingesting transgenics or any additives.
I just wanted to...
Igual tenemos, o sea, tenemos esa cátedra libre y se trata de promover la soberanía alimentaria, pero a su vez está muy desregulado. No sé, de hecho aprobamos trigo transgénico el otro día, se aprobó y no hay mucha regulación. Somos uno de los países que más uso de glifosato usa, que es el Roundup, que lo deben conocer, y tenemos muchos problemas con ese. O sea, ahora hay una secretaría, de hecho, de soberanía alimentaria y de agricultura familiar, pero falta regulación en ese aspecto. Consumimos muchos alimentos genéticamente modificados y hay como un bache ahí de desconocimiento sobre los efectos y de regulación.
So Daniela is adding that even if now we have a Ministry of Nutritional Sovereignty and Family Economy, that it's not consistent because we have just approved, we eat a lot of foods that have been genetically modified. There's no clear policy, even if there is a ministry supporting this. There are no clear policies to make sure that people eat that way.
I just wanted to say that I think in the US, we also struggle with food deserts. I don't know if that's a familiar term, but we frequently have areas where more resources go to, and it's easy to access a grocery store, and in other areas in our city, it takes a long time to get to a place that sells fresh produce.
La profesora Caratini dice que en Estados Unidos tenemos lo que llamamos desiertos alimentarios, donde no se encuentran comidas saludables, donde uno puede ir a comprar, no tienen comida saludable, o sea que no tiene, la gente que vive ahí no tiene opción.
Desde Argentina, disculpe. Iba a decir de que acá en Argentina y desde el Ministerio de Desarrollo y de Agricultura y junto con un organismo que se llama INTA, hay un programa que se llama ProHuerta y ahí hacen entrega de semillas a la gente que se encuentra en situación de vulnerabilidad y son semilla y todo lo que se propone es agroecológico y tiene la seguridad de que bueno, todo lo que provee es sin agroquímicos y no son semillas tampoco transgénicas ni híbridas.
Noé agrega que, I'm sorry, Noé adds that there is a Ministry of Development that works with a technical arm called INTA, where they have a program called Pro Farm, where they distribute seeds that they know that they distribute seeds to vulnerable populations so that they can farm around their houses, and with the assurance that that the seeds will give them safe food.
Great. That's wonderful. That's a great program. We are, our class is technically over and some people have to hop to the next class that they have, but I don't mind staying on for a few more minutes if anyone wants to ask a question.
La clase está por terminar y algunos estudiantes van a tener que irse, pero la profesora Caratini no tiene ningún problema en quedarse más tiempo si quieren. Diego?
Por mí yo no tengo problema.
I think that perhaps some of our students perhaps must leave, but others may remain just a few minutes if you have some question. I think that we have all many questions to ask you and you ask us. So I ask to share with you our questions and answers, and I think that this was very interesting. Estoy diciendo que me parece que algunos alumnos por ahí se tienen que ir de ustedes también, que algunos pueden quedar, pero que estuvo buenísimo esto de intercambiar estas inquietudes.
I know I've appreciated us joining together today, and I've learned a lot through this discussion. It tells me we got to do more of this because there's a lot more I want to know, as I'm sure all of you feel.
Yeah.
Emily, did you want to say something? You look like you're poised to.
Yeah, I was just going to ask one question to you guys for whoever's staying back. I'm curious, which foods in Argentina would you eat like on a typical day, and then which are considered more expensive or just for special occasions?
Emily pregunta que si pueden contar qué comidas comen en Argentina y cuáles serían más usadas para ocasiones especiales.
Hola, me
Sí,
gustaría responder.
¿Cuáles son las comidas típicas de acá que nosotros solemos comer y que no cuestan tanto dinero, y cuáles son las que nosotros estaríamos comiendo en aquellas situaciones especiales, ¿no? ¿Dijo algo?
Sí.
Sí. Perfecto. Mira, lo que realmente consumen los argentinos cotidianamente es básicamente la misma de ustedes, es comida chatarra, o lo primero que pueden llegar a alcanzar.
Francisco says that what we eat in Argentina is what you probably also eat in the US, which is fast food.
Como por ejemplo acá, obviamente las comidas son distintas. Acá se come choripán, por ejemplo, que es chorizo con pan.
So here you have a lot as a fast food, something we call choripán, which is like a sausage and a sandwich.
Por ejemplo, para darse un ejemplo. Ahora, comidas quizás un poco más elaboradas, puede ser el asado.
More elaborate foods are what we call the asado or the barbecue.
O bueno, puede ser alguna carne al horno o milanesas.
Or breaded cutlets or baked beef.
Pero bueno, no sé qué opinan mis compañeros.
I don't know what my colleagues.
Si coinciden conmigo o no.
Whether they agree with me or not.
Sí, y después, bueno, no comemos mucho lo que es pescados o mariscos, o sea, por lo general, así a nivel poblacional no se consume tanto. Y bueno, lo que sí.
We don't eat so much fish and shellfish.
Después sí consumimos todo lo que es pastas, arroz.
We eat pasta, rice.
Y comidas festivas puede ser, a veces se come, como dijo Fran, asado o lechón. Y platos así festivos son, no sé, ensalada rusa, que sería papa, arveja.
Vitel, en las Navidades es muy, muy frecuente consumirlo.
Yo creo que hay muchísima, perdón, que hay muchísima variedad regional también, o sea, no se come lo mismo en el norte del país que en la Patagonia, que en Buenos Aires.
Anita adds that there's a lot of regional differences because what you eat in Buenos Aires, you don't eat in the north, for example, bordering with Bolivia.
En el norte, por ejemplo, claro, se come, no sé, mucho queso de cabra o más quinoa y más no sé, platos típicos son la humita, el choclo, más, hay más variedad por ahí.
In the north, you eat more foods made with corn and goat cheese and quinoa.
En el sur, por ahí es más típico comer como carne cordero, más que tanta vaca, porque la vegetación es distinta.
Lamb.
En el litoral tal vez se come un poco más de pescado que acá en los porteños, como que varía mucho también.
In the northeast, you eat more fish than in the city of Buenos Aires. So there's a lot of regional differences.
Me gustaría poder saber qué opinan ellos respecto a la misma pregunta, pero en Estados Unidos.
What you think, what you eat.
We eat a lot of fast food also.
Alicia said we also eat a lot of fast food.
The American diet is very healthy.
I'm sorry, Alicia dice que también comemos comida chatarra.
You can continue now. She just had to do it in Spanish. She did it in
English. The American diet's very heavy in processed foods, sugar, and meat and dairy products. And
la dieta americana tiene mucha comida procesada, mucho azúcar.
Y muchos productos lácteos.
Y muchos productos lácteos. Gracias.
I was going to say that we also have a lot of regional variations. I mean, in the era of globalization, we have a lot of ways to get access to foods that allow us to eat a variety, especially in the cities. But if you were to go...
Nosotros también tenemos mucha variedad regional, sobre todo en las ciudades.
But if you were to go down south, you would find Cajun cooking, I forget what some of those dishes are called, but they might include more seafood, or also...
Si vas al sur, por ejemplo, hay una comida regional que contiene mucho pescado y mariscos.
And in the Northeast, we have a lot of Italian immigration, so you might find a lot more Italian specialties.
En el nordeste hubo mucha migración italiana, entonces hay muchas comidas de tipo italiano.
And it goes in the West Coast, you find probably a lot more salmon and seafood dishes.
En el oeste más salmón y todo tipo de pescados. También hay variedad regional.
I actually have to get going now because I have a meeting at 11. But I have...
Okay. Porque tengo una reunión a las 11. A las 11 aquí.
But I want to thank your professor for being willing to have this global classroom connection. And
quiero agradecer a su profesor por haber colaborado a tener esta clase global.
And I want to thank Judy for being willing to help us connect through translating. It's a big help.
Y también me quiere agradecer a mí por ayudar en la traducción.
And I want to thank all
I want to thank you for this great experience, and thank you very much, Amy, and all your students, and my students. Thank you for coming.
Amy y a sus
and shoot it.
Profesor, no quería dejar perdón que interrumpa, pero no quería dejar de pedirte el favor de si podemos establecer algún tipo de contacto con los chicos.
Estaba esperando.
Recordamos el contacto.
Estaba
y podamos
esperando que
hablar.
alguien dijera eso. Francisco is saying whether we can establish contact after this meeting. How could we establish contact after this meeting?
Well, I'd be open to having another dialogue or discussion if it works with your professor in your class schedule, or we could maybe connect students individually. Let me talk to
Yeah.
the professor.
Yo estoy abierta, dice la profesora Caratini, estoy abierta a tener otra sesión o ver cómo nos podemos intercambiar, supongo que por correo electrónico.
Yeah, I think that they can engage each other, the students, if we share their email, if they are interested. So I can ask them who wants to participate and send the emails from them to you, and if your students...
El profesor Díaz dice que va a preguntar a sus estudiantes quién quieren seguir conectados y entonces mandar sus correos electrónicos.
I can do the same with my class. I think that's a great way to proceed so that if you want to continue talking to one another, you can.
Y la profesora Caratini está de acuerdo con eso también.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
everyone.
This was
Thank you,
great.
everyone. Yes, it was really good. I just have to
Muchas
figure
gracias. Thank you.